Oh, my Lanta. It's been quiet for a second. Welcome, people, to Kiwis Road. This is James, Miner's Madness, on a train of digression all the time. Just the other day, I was working on how to figure out how to copy the link from Zoom and then, send it to myself. So, there we go, a messenger. But I can't see where participants. That's right. Invite messenger. We're gonna pull it up over here because there's discussion going on today. Turns out there's a searcher out there that was named, and hopefully that searcher comes on and gives us some background and a little story on what. Let's continue here. Don't even know what's going on, people. I can't even see if I'm on here. Oh, I gotta send it to myself first. All right, that's done. Back out here, back out here. Oh, there we are. We're back. I don't know if I disappeared or not, but I disappeared on my own phone. I'm gonna do this. I gotta go here, pull this up, yada yada yada, touching some buttons. Somebody used the word Google foo. So I gotta do my Google foo. Wow. Oh, there's the link right there. I'm gonna copy that link. I'm gonna try to copy that link. Copy link. No. Then we're gonna go here. We're gonna go to the YouTube world. No, I don't want to log in from this one. Come on, cancel. All trying to sign me in and stuff. It's like, nope, not happening. But yeah, it's interesting. There's audio files that are coming out, and it seems like some of these audio files that are coming out about Forrest Fenn, or with Forrest Fenn, or even Forrest Fenn mentioning searchers is quite interesting. Very interesting indeed. Along this train of digression, we're going to kind of delve into a little bit about that and see what the connection is, if any or none. But it'll be a fun discussion nonetheless. I'm lost. I'm lost. I'm going to my channel. See, this is what happens. You do a little bit of yard work, and next thing you know, you're like large digiting. Your Google foo becomes Google fuck because you can't type right. It's like, oh, my laptop. I do apologize for the language from time to time. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. I try not to curse too much, but uh, life is. Aw, where is it? I just copied it. Let's try this again. I go in here. I go back out. Copy. All right. Go back into here. What's up, Bobby Brass? So, people that are joining, oh, there it is. On this train of madness, Miner's Madness, on this road, there's a train track that runs right along this road. That train track is my digital diary, which is YouTube. So I've pinned a message. You'll see right there somewhere at the top. That's an open Zoom. There's a discussion that was going on earlier, and today, hopefully, like I said, a searcher that was named by Forrest Fenn would come on and discuss and share some of their audio clips they got, and just kind of go over it, because there's this discussion out there in the Chase marketplace about like some kind of hidden recipe out there, a poem or something, maybe possibly, that was either in an olive jar that was sealed and never opened, and people are trying to get the word out and push it out as, let's get that jar open and see if there's another poem in there and see what else is in that story that Forrest Fenn left behind. And it'd be interesting if there was. But also, Forrest Fenn mentioned that he took something very personal out of the chest when he hid it. And a thought that's come up is, what if there was a second poem and he decided to take it out? But I think it was probably I think he put the arrowhead inside the chest and decided to take it back out because that would have been more, I think, sentimental and stronger emotional mental ties. But you never know. So as you can see, there is a link. Uh, it's the hatch on this train. So there's the coach car where everybody hangs down and chit chats amongst themselves. So when I say hi, I'm saying hi now. I see you. I recognize you. And if I don't say hi, I'm saying hi now. And if I forget to say hi, how you doing? And just in case, hi. Thanks for joining us today. Because I don't want people in chat, amongst chat, to feel like I'm ignoring them or discluding them. It's just being a train conductor in this little fantasy world of mine, or is it? There's a lot that I got to pay attention to. And I mean, as much as I'd love to pay attention to chat, I do from time to time glance down. So if you really want to get my attention, sit there and put down Kiwis Road, and I'll be like, "Wow, something going on." And I'll read it, and then get lost in digression, and we'll see what happens from there. You know what I mean? Because who doesn't like digressing? Um, so yeah, there was "Why Must I Go" was mentioned by Forrest Fenn on a video that I believe he posted, and it was interesting the perspective that Forrest Fenn was looking at other searchers who were emailing him, and it's very interesting thinking about it now. Is in the Chase marketplace, there's many aisles and there's many different contents on the shelves and stuff. I mean, we were just in the ice box in the meat section of the Chase marketplace yesterday over some content out there in the universe of the digital land about somebody trying to create a criminal investigation on stolen valor on a passed away veteran. So that I feel is very distasteful. But I mean, that's just coal stoking the fire in this neighborhood. Peanut butter, I guess, is good for if you're having a hard time going to sleep. Take a spoonful of peanut butter, something, just mow on it before you go to bed. Something to help the probably chemical reaction with the peanut butter in your body, help you to create that melatonin or something, serotonin, melatonin, one of them things. I don't know. Who knows? Just try some peanut butter before you go to sleep and see how that works. So the door is open. The Zoom link is there. Feel free to come on board, climb that ladder, and hop on top of the roof of this train. And let's have some discussion. Let's talk over some about this individual, the perspective that Forrest Fenn was looking at searchers based off a recording on how he was even looking at one searcher. So, doors right there. Just tap the thing. Agree to the disclaimer. There's a disclaimer there. I want people to know, this is a live recorded stream out there because it is my digital diary. And it's out there because there's a purpose for this whole journey. And we welcome anybody along for the ride as long as keep it cordial and let's do the up versus down bring. Da, 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 da. And entering the room, we have Galaxy. Galaxy, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Sore, hurting. Nerves are like going off in my legs. But yeah, wife decided she wanted to do yard work a couple days before I had to leave. So it's like, yep, okay. Happy wife, happy life, as they say. What about you? What are you doing with your day?
I just got done watching soccer all morning.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
So who were you watching? Which teams were playing that you were rooting for?
my son's team, he's 10. He had two matches.
Well, see, that's the best team to root for then.
Right.
You definitely cannot miss that. You definitely can't miss that.
It was a rough day today, but It was all right. It was fun to watch. It was nice out.
So, did they win or lose?
They lost.
So that what made a rough day?
I mean, yeah, I always want him to win, but he did
Right.
good individually. He always plays hard, and that's what I'm more concerned about than anything.
Right. That's a good thing to be proud of.
And he plays up a grade too, so he's
Oh,
playing with
really?
older kids. Yeah.
Oh, so he's that good, huh? You got yourself one
Yeah.
of them Olympians on your hands?
Well, for the little area we're in, yeah, he's pretty good.
Well, that's really cool. Yeah, I played a little soccer. I only played my senior year. Got three scores that year, and then my son played soccer too. So it was nice to see that. And we have inside the roof of this train of madness. Why must I go? Who was mentioned by name by Mr. Forrest Fenn himself.
Yep, supervisor is here. The supervisor.
The supervisor of the train cart is here.
Crowded.
How you doing today?
It's crowded in the shed, man. You need more room. We need to expand this thing.
When he said you were a supervisor, I think that was a pretty loaded answer.
No, I know why he said it. I explained why in my live. I'm not going to repeat it, but I think it was funny. It's a badge of honor.
I missed it.
It's about you got to listen to the beginning of the video. I explained the context. Yeah, no, it's a badge of honor. It's a badge of honor for sure, and it proves that he read my emails, and it proves he knows me by name, even though I never met the man, never showed up at any memory at all. So yeah, that's a badge of honor.
That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
That's really cool. But the interesting thing about
I'll be right back, by the way. I'm going to go smoke.
Is if there's recordings of Forrest Fenn talking about searchers in such a specific and detailed manner, and in a way, I mean, to sit there and say, nah, this individual's not a searcher. He's a supervisor of searchers. I mean, that shows the intellectual willingness to take on that load, to process that no, this guy isn't just looking for the chest. He's got other people that he's paying attention to, and back and forth stuff. I mean, it's a give and take relationship when you're treasure hunting. That's why sometimes it's better off doing it yourself in a sense, but sometimes you can't, and it takes a lot of people to pull off a really successful treasure hunt. And so, I mean, I think the possibilities are on both fronts. But it's who else is possible on that list that Forrest Fenn would be so inclined to talk about that much like that in detail, in a sense. I mean, even more detail. And you would think there's more recordings out there, which I think down the road would be interesting. What are your thoughts there? Mr. G-Man. Can I say that, Mr. G-Man, or do I got to say Galaxy? Because I like Galaxy, so.
That works. I agree. I think there's probably recordings of, all the people that we all know.
It'd be interesting. It's I guess in one perspective, it's a wonder of perspective. What happened?
I can't answer one question that's related to what you're talking about.
Okay.
Besides me, he only named 3 other people, and the other 3 are female. All right, I'll be right back.
That's what I say. Well, so is that in an audio clip that you have? Why must I go? Or Troy? I mean, I like to know these provenance things. Somebody turned me on to the word provenance. And it's like,
no. I made it really clear at the beginning of my video. No. She told me it's me, and then there's 3 other females. She did not name them, and she certainly did not send me that audio. No, that's the whole point. She didn't want to put anybody's name out there, but only she sent me mine. She sent me mine because I specifically asked for it. But she also said if other people were to inquire, I believe she said this, and give and talk directly to her, she would send it to them. So if there's only me and three females, then if those three females individually contacted her, they would get their individual copies. She's not going to put it out there, and I don't know that that's true.
Right.
I heard that through a third party,
I
but
mean,
she
that would
only
make
gave me
sense.
mine. I just want to make that clear. So I do not have any audio with the other three people, and I don't.
Okay.
She did not tell me who they are or nothing
Right.
like that.
Right.
So if you and a couple of people already asked her, like for example, Eugene, if you look at her videos, he goes, "My name in there," and she told them no. So obviously he's not going to get a copy. But if it was, I'm sure that she would have sent
Right.
it. So
Right.
I just want to make that clear. No, I don't know who it is. I have no information. No, I don't even know where in the audio they appeared or nothing. I just told her, please send me my name and don't edit the context. Just show me the area around my name. And she
Right.
did exactly that. So
That's cool.
I'm
That's
glad
really
she
cool.
did that. But you know what I mean? Now, somebody might say, well, it could have been doctored. Yeah, it could have been. But if they did, in my opinion, it's just going to shine a good light on me. So I don't care. Good, whatever. Whatever.
No, I mean,
Go ahead. Here's the challenge. Load the audio clip up and you find the edits in there and prove that it's wrong. How about that? And then or look at Cynthia's audios. In other words, I'm going to turn the tables. Instead of me doing the analysis, let me see, but don't do the analysis just on my audio. Do it on the whole entire clip. Believe me, there are edits in there. Now, in mine, I just literally took it, threw it into not Premiere, Vegas video. I threw the audio clip in there, and then I made a title screen, and I stretched it out to the length of the audio, and I saved it out as an MP4 and uploaded it. That's exactly what you get. I didn't edit anything on purpose. I didn't put any voice in there, not because I wanted to leave it untouched, as she sent to me, in case somebody does want to analyze it. But I didn't do any edit. I did increase the gain a little bit, but that's normal just to balance so you can hear the fucking audio. Because if you listen to Cynthia, style's really low, but I didn't do anything to modify the audio data itself. So
right. Aren't these editing software? Isn't it so good that you could almost make it so you can't even tell?
No.
No. Okay.
No, not if you know what you're doing. No. But it's getting to that. It's getting to that point. And I did a video about it. They have AI, and if you feed it enough information, and then you got to, I mean, it's a lot of work. You got to basically tell it the context. I mean, you got to actually put in what words, like, I'm not looking for the right word now. But anyway, it can do that to train it. And I showed examples back in December. I showed software that does that. If there's a,
I'm going to have to watch that.
Fucking, people use it all the time on Discord, and specifically because they'll log into a Discord channel as Bill Clinton or Donald Trump or some movie star. But you can kind of listen to them and you kind of know it ain't real. But that it requires a lot of work to do that. What I think they did, Galaxy, honestly, is they just cut the clip up and reassembled it to produce the context that they wanted to relay. It's clear that they did that because the break between the words is not natural. Like when people speak, you could tell by the flow, almost like musically, of how the notes are moving, and there's abrupt changes in there. And then what they try to do to cover it is they smooth it out, okay, or they'll add background noise, like a fizz or something like that, but through the whole thing to try to cover up the edits. Yeah. But Cynthia herself admits that the audio that she got in every clip was edited before she got it because you could see that. And then she admits that she edited again herself because she removed the part where he's talking about me and the part where he's talking about the other three women. Okay. That's all she removed, she said. So you could take it for what it's worth. I don't know. Did somebody go through the trouble and fake Forrest?
Well, makes you wonder
if they fake saying the poem and whatever, or Troy, my name. Yeah, that's good. Figure it out. Maybe they did it. Either way, they did it. They're foolish because they made me look good. Now, here's the thing, too, Galaxy. the phrase that he says that everybody's concerned with is not my name. It's just read me the poem. Now think about this, Galaxy. How many times has Forrest Fenn said the phrase, just read the poem? All you got to do is take the phrase, just read the poem, and insert me, him saying me in there. Just read me the poem. I mean, that's like an amateur. A kid can, anybody can do that in any audio editor. And that's the kind of stuff that I think that they did. I don't think they faked Forrest and Dal's name. And that's probably why the audio is low, because they're trying to cover up what they did. You remember recently, a couple of weeks ago, somebody came out with some long audio where it looks like Barbara is being introduced by K-Pro and all of that. That entire audio clip was created that way. You could tell. I don't know who the hell made it, but they did a bad job. And the volume is so low and the voices sound unnatural.
They had people chatter in the background too that, like you said, would be used to kind of cover up some of that.
Sure, yeah, you're absolutely. Let's say in Moby Dick, it's just read the poem. Somebody said, "How do you solve it?" Just read the poem, and they cut that out, and then they could run various filters and try to. I'll give you an example. Do you ever go on the internet on YouTube and look for like, let's say you want to take a song and you only want to hear the vocals, and it strips out all the music. And there's websites that'll do that shit. And like you could take any rock song or whatever, upload it to a website. It'll strip out the vocals if you're a singer, and then you could download the music and sing to the original music. Or do the opposite. You could isolate the guitars and all. There's millions and millions of YouTube videos of people doing that. Now, as far as taking voice and isolating individual people, that's a lot harder. And then think about this too, Galaxy. There's pitch shifters, and like I was talking about the other day, and nobody knew what it was. Auto-tune. Well, auto-tune. I don't know if you've used it or seen it. I don't have it because it's expensive, but I got like a free. Like there's a bunch of alternatives, and when you load it up into the music production software, when it takes the waveform and actually puts musical notes there. So you can actually click on the note and drag it up or down to change the pitch of what the person's singing. So when you talk to Forrest Fenn, if it's unnatural, they could shift the pitch to make it sound natural. You know what I mean? Like when you play a musical note, it's got the part where it initiates and then it rings on. Like I forgot what the terms are for it, but there's a start and then there's a middle and there's an end. When you chop up the voice, a lot of times it'll be unnatural because you're chopping it and it's only in the mid range. It didn't begin that way. And if you listen to Dal's audio, it kind of sounds like there's a bunch of places where that happened in Cynthia's copy. That's all I'm saying. How did they do it? I don't know, but I mean, certainly that can be done. But I don't think they did a good job because it just seems. I mean, Galaxy, do what I'm saying. Load it up in the free Audacity. It's a free program. Download Audacity and literally record the Cynthia's copy and go into Audacity and look at the waveform and zoom in and look at key points and listen close. There's even places in there, Galaxy, where you can hear Forrest taking a breath. Like you hear
Galaxy, do you have the audacity to do it?
Yeah. Yeah, there's places where you can hear Forrest breathing in and actually beginning to utter like a consonant.
Think and change.
And it cuts off right in the middle of him, in the middle of a consonant. It's unnatural the way a lot of them parts are. So whoever did it, they're pretty poor at it. Don't make that your career. But I mean, look at you got like a lot of people out there that are capable of doing that kind of stuff for nefarious reasons. Fuck with people, and you know, there's people obviously smarter than me that are going to be. But I mean, this looks like it was done by an amateur. I'm sure if you were to really go in and analyze it, looking at the various frequencies, you know, their image, like every time, like when you say, well, you can break things up into phonemes. Like we were talking about this the other day, I can make Forrest Fenn, for example, say Kiwi. And the way you can do that, all you got to do is let me give you an example. Find a video where Forrest is saying Kiva. Kiva. So you hear to get the key. So all you need to do is get the va out of there, and then find we, and then so you put the two together, and then you use like an auto tune and match it up so it sounds smooth, and you could probably
Well, if I'm already messing
convincingly
around with
make
this,
Forrest Fence say Kiwi and probably road. So you could say Kiwi Road. Kiwi Road is the solver. I'm sure you could find those words where Forrest said solver. So you don't even need to get the complicated AI. You know what I mean? I'll be right back for real.
So welcome, Mr. Luke. How are you doing today? It's fine.
What's up, buddy? Not much. How about you?
Good. I just got my train from going off the tracks back on track. So it was all sideways and crooked like and weird looking. Uh-oh. It's looking weird looking right now. Oh, no, it's back. So it's interesting watching. It's interesting watching yourself and how things are rolling. And it's like, oh, well, that's crazy. The guy just went sideways. What for,
Yeah.
Are you out in the garage? Or are you in like a little shed?
I got stuck with a shed. I didn't even get a garage. I tried to take over one of the spare rooms, but that didn't happen. I got some denied.
You got some doors wide open, or you got a window right in front of you?
Well, I got two windows, but yeah, the door's open. Letting some of that nice, beautiful sunshine, the air breeze, and just listening to the birds.
What state are you in?
Idaho.
Idaho. Okay.
How about you?
Michigan.
Michigan. Nice. Don't they have them Uper lights out there? You ever do Uper light hunting?
I'm actually not. What is that?
So if I'm not mistaken, along one of the southwest or southeast, along the coastal lines, if you take a black light out at night and go walking around the beach, you'll find rocks that glow in the dark, or they don't glow in the dark, but they're reflective to UV. Wicked cool stuff. YouTube Uper lights.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. I guess I just didn't make the reference with the name. Yeah, I'm in like the central part, so
okay.
I didn't really grow up on the Great Lakes.
That's one of my plans is to head out that way and do some Uper light hunting, because it'd be fun and interesting.
Have you ever been to Michigan?
No, I've been to like 46 states. I used to drive big rig, did over the road, long haul, and then just living life on like most of the East Coast too. So quite a few states.
There's nothing better than Michigan summers up north. Telling you.
I'll have to find out one of these years. So, what are your guys' thoughts on Troy's mentioning by Forrest in a way? And I guess only down to like 4 people are mentioned in I would almost say like secret conversation. It makes you wonder who the other people are, and what's the context of the information. Not to mention, if the information that was passed down was edited, what pieces were edited out of that? A lot of speculation out there on some of these audio clips now that they're out there. But, when you start peeling layers back of an onion, stuff's going to get exposed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see if he mentioned Barb.
Oh, God.
I mean, that for instance, I mean, that's a very good curiosity, because I mean, here you have a case, if I'm not mistaken, isn't Forrest Fan, or at least Dale, mentioned inside the one of the original cases associated with said person. So I mean, if there's that much limelight and claim that's pushed out there like that, you would think that Forrest Fan definitely would have had some thoughts on that person for sure.
Well,
interesting.
Let me say something to that. I was listening when I was outside. Let me just be mention something else that we got to consider here. The audio, okay, that Dow sent to Cynthia, like I said, had 4 names: one
Right.
man, which is me, and
And
3
3
women.
women.
Okay,
Yeah.
now that's what Dow spent like 2 hours with Forrest. Okay, so that's what Dow sent to Cynthia. Now, what I'm
other
telling you,
ones?
yeah, exactly. What I'm saying is there's edits in the original one that Cynthia got. Okay. Now let's say, and this is the hypothetical, that Forrest Fenn didn't like Cynthia and he said something about her to Dow. Do you think that Dow would send that to you see what
No,
I'm getting
absolutely
at?
not.
So he could have
Absolutely not.
mentioned other guys. He could have talked about Bill, that asshole,
Yeah.
or this and that. And Dow could have edited out those because he knew you think like your Dow.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
if it gets to Cynthia, he knows it's going to get to Gay Pro. So suppose they said something
Yeah.
about Gay Pro. And you think he's going to send that to Cynthia? Or suppose they said something about Ben, or they said something about Galaxy, or something about Kiwi, or something about anybody. As a matter of fact, they might have said more about me or something about Jack. And he could have edited all of that out and only sent Cynthia a part that had names that he didn't think would matter or whatever like that, right?
Well, here's the thing: is the name is important because there's significance. There's over thousands and thousands of people emailing Forrest Fenn, probably daily at a given point in time. It grows. What they were saying, 350,000 searchers were looking for this. That's just a number of people will throw out there. I mean, how are you actually going to keep track? There's a lot of people that were searching at home and never left their house for one reason or another. How do you account for those? And you can't.
Well, Cynthia did put out a little bit of information accidentally. I don't know. It's in her very first video on the 10. Actually, it's in both of them. There's no name mentioned, but what Cynthia has in her original recording, you can see it on her website. He really, really rips into a female, okay, and about mailing, and he's talking to Down. You can hear him, and he's like, "Yeah," and he doesn't mention the name. He goes, "She" and "her." She emails me like 3 or 4 times a day. She writes 1 or 2 sentences each time. She tells me things I don't really care. She asks me questions like, "What color is your shirt?" And he's like, "I don't want to read those kind of emails." And then he keeps on saying, "But there's a guy." He refers to a man and a guy. He goes, I don't want his emails to not be seen. No, he doesn't tie that to me or any name. That could be
Right.
Jack. That could be Jack.
Yeah.
And that's why K-Pro are interested, because he's focused on a man 100%. But anyway, the woman, what he also says about her, he goes, "I'm friends with her. She's been in my house with her husband. So she lives in Santa Fe." So one of the 3 people that he was talking about, I don't know what he said about her, other than what Cynthia did put out there for everybody to see in the public, is she's a female. She's obviously a searcher. She lives in Santa Fe. She's been in this house, and she has a husband. So I have no idea who that is. Okay, who he was talking about, because there's no name attached to it. It could be any female that lived in Santa Fe. Now you might be able to narrow that down somehow. For example, we know that that's not Cynthia, because I don't believe she's married. And then we know it's not Sacha, because Sacha lived in Albuquerque. So, I mean, if you wanted to take that route, I don't see what the point is, though, because unless you want to dig up dirt on somebody, who cares, right? Who cares? It's not relevant to the chase. You know what I mean? That's why Cynthia, I believe, did the right thing by not putting it out there, because all it would do is stir up more controversy. And some of the people, and I got to give her credit for that, maybe they're hurt. Now, obviously, that conflicts with what she said in the past on Discord, where she said, I'm gonna revolt and I'm gonna put the dirt out there. And she was talking about various things like that. That wouldn't be a nice thing to do. Maybe she was just mad in the heat of the moment, but she's never done it. And the most recent audio, she purposely edited it out. So we got to give her credit for that. But I don't want to mislead you that a 2-hour interview, he only sent her fucking 20 minutes of whatever, 15 minutes of audio. There's still, He could have talked about anybody in there. We don't
and
know.
and that was just one interview. He probably, had more interviews than that.
Well, sure. The part Dow, if you read Dow's letter, the part where he's talking about the emails, I'm assuming, was done outside in the garden, because Dow says it. He goes, "We went outside to the garden to do some of the interview, and then Forrest Fenn kept telling him to cut the camera off because they wanted to go off the record." And
Right.
that's when he would talk about that. So now the audio that he sent Cynthia included off the record stuff. But Dow said that he didn't see that it would, since the chase is over, it's not going to impact anybody. But then Cynthia looked at it and she goes, "Well, I'm going to play it, but I'm not going to play it where he mentions people's names." So she cut it out. So she doesn't know the parts that Dow did not send her. And
Right.
you got to remember now, the family owns the biography. They're claiming ownership to that. They may have told him, "Hey, that's what Shiloh's going to put in his book," or whatever, because he could make fictitious names. So instead of saying my name, he could put it, and Jimmy Jones over there with 15 partners. You could do that legally in a book. So everybody in the chase reading the book, they would know who he's talking about, but he won't mention them by name. They can do something like that. So maybe they told Dow, "Hey, I don't want Jack Stoof. Don't put that part in there, or don't put the part about the solver, or don't put that stuff about, this person or that, or don't say this," because Dow clearly, he makes it clear that they were doing an interview for the purposes of Forrest Fenn's biography, and Forrest Fenn himself said that second part, "Yeah, for my biography." And then Dow goes, in the audio, you can hear this. He says, "So you didn't tell me." And then Forrest Fenn said, "I did tell Cynthia about it. So I believe she's the only one that knows that you're working on a biography for me." So that's
it sounds like also that she's transcribing and also doing her own maybe book or something, because
maybe that's
there's a
up to
whole
her.
lot of typing that I hear in the background. And it
Well,
sounds
maybe.
like
I mean,
transcribing a conversation so that they could use that conversation to make a book.
Well, if it's public information, she could every right to do that. Sure, she could even put the part in there about me. I would give her permission to, but she could put the part of anybody in there and just change the names legally. There's nothing you can do about that.
Right.
If she wants to write a book, that's her prerogative. Same thing if Dow wants to write a book, or you want to write, you might write a book. You might want to write your book about what you did in the chase. Everybody's entitled to do that.
Oh, right? Yeah, it's already in process. Yeah, there's a lot of people that have seen the benefits of writing your own memoirs or journey, and that what happened? I just seen something. I'll have to read that in a second. But it's all damn. Well, lost that one. 30 coins on the track.
No, I told those Galaxy said what year is the interview from. The audio was recorded October 19th, 2019. Like about a week after I was arguing with him with the Cody thing, and right after Scrapbook 207. I don't think that's relevant, but also look at that date. That's October 19th. 1 month later, he did the interview with Cynthia and Cal and K-Pro with Doug Preston. So, and then he also, I believe, did talk with K-Pro, and that was when the Rumbling and Ramblings 2.0 or that stuff came up. I believe, I could be wrong. I think that was September 2019.
Troy, didn't Dale have interviews with Fenn after it was found?
I don't know. I mean, that's why I want Cynthia to show up. But Cynthia answers some of these questions that you're asking. You got to go just watch her video, the last one that she put up. And then she plays the entire audio clip minus the people's names and minus anything Dow cut out, obviously. And she's doing it while she's showing herself driving to Yellowstone, I guess. And then if you go back to her show number 10, which I think it's from 2022, that's another version that she has of that audio file. But that audio file does not have the mention of the poem in it. So that's my question is how did the poem get in there somewhere between show number 10 and the video she just put out? That's a question that she can answer. I don't know. But she might answer it in her other video.
Answer that.
Well, Dale can answer it, but so can Cynthia, and she may have
Well,
answered somebody's questions in her video. So that's
I
why,
guess
like,
that's Dale's answer is that email sent to Cynthia. Hence, Cynthia shared that email.
well,
So he
Cynthia
was
did share the
recollecting.
email.
Yeah,
Cynthia isn't keeping anything that I know of behind. She
right.
shared the email today, and then if you got to really listen to
But
her,
if Forrest is saying to Dale, yeah, there's a second poem, then you would have to take in account that there is possibly a second poem, right?
we talked about that before, but Dale, I call him Dal because DAL. There's no E in there.
Dale.
It's not Dale. But anyway,
Oh.
Dal, he had doubts in himself. He said he could have been messing with me because think about it. It was
Right.
off the record.
Or lying.
Right.
Yeah.
Or lying. Dal mentions like 4 or 5 things, but I mentioned 3 or 4 more that it doesn't make any sense that he would have done that to begin with. And the most important thing is Jack did not have it. I think, and we discussed this, I think they're just trying to either force the guy to open a jar or boost the value of the jar to mislead you into thinking there's additional poem in there.
Well,
I think
I
that's
hope
the whole
whoever
goal.
owns the jar does what they decide, what they want done with it, not be pressured by anybody whatsoever.
Well, I
'Cause
got
I'm
a feeling.
sure-
I got a feeling the person with the jar is involved in all the controversy with Netflix, and they're the ones that are working with Rudy to try to push their narrative. But that's just my personal opinion. But what you really need to
To each their
do,
own.
no, what you really need to do is go and watch Cynthia's video on her channel because there's a
I
lot of
watched
stuff.
their latest one. I watched
Well,
that
no,
last one.
watch show 10, but what I'm saying is
Show
listen
10.
to. She comments in there and tells you the context of how she got it. I didn't include that when I downloaded the audio because I don't care. So the only thing I included everything in was the audio that she purposely sent me. But you got to listen to it in her channel. She may have answered people's questions. You know what I mean? I don't follow her videos. I don't know if she's already answered some of this.
Right.
So it's no point to speculate if she may have already answered a question. I don't know. You know, I'm trying to be. I know it sounds like I'm defending her, and believe me, I mean, so many things I don't like about her. But I got to be real with myself. I can't always be down on somebody because you got to admit
possibilities.
If she said Kiwi in there or your real name, would you want that audio out without hearing it first?
That's a good question. I mean, that's a very good question. I would
And same
probably
with
want to hear
Galaxy.
it first. I would probably
Same
want
with
to hear it
everybody.
first.
Same with everybody. If somebody told you there's something that he said, and they didn't just say it that way, they said that you may find upsetting or personal. Would you want me to put that out there without you hearing it first? That's a good question for everybody on the panel.
That even changes it to a different perspective, though. You know what I mean? The way you just reworded that. Because there's a difference between having video audio saying, you know, and I'm going to use you as an example because, I mean, he used you as an example, is Forrest Fenn could have sat there and said, yeah, Troy, he's a good guy. I can see where he's going. Good head on his shoulder. I mean, he's looking over several searchers. He's saying positive things. Now, if you have one of him saying, and him or anybody else saying about you, yeah, this guy, you know, he's an let's see, what would be a good
Yeah,
way?
no, he's misleads people. He's a liar. He was never close to the treasure chest. He opens his mouth. I mean, there's so many derogatory things that honestly, whatever was in there that Cynthia sent me, unless it like mentioned my wife or somebody like that, I would have played it. I don't care. But it's funny that K Pro, she and the way Cynthia sounded too initially sounded like it was going to be something bad. So I was preparing for that. And then Cynthia, when she sent it to me, she goes, it's not really that big of a deal. I don't think it's that insulting at all. She was just doing it because it had a name, a real name. And I got to give her credit for not putting a real name out there first without talking to the person.
Right. I totally, that's awesome. You know, and I think that's how, you know, conversations should kind of go. I mean, but that's just me. I don't always go that way, but Yeah, it's a difference in if I knew somebody had something good about me to say and they were going to put it out there without even letting me know. I mean, that's one thing. But if they had something bad to say and they're going to put it out there without letting me know, and yeah, I wouldn't want that. You know what I mean? Nobody would.
Right. So now think about that
It's
too
like a
from Dow.
blackmail type thing. It's a
Right, but think about that even from Dow's perspective. If Forrest Fem was getting really nasty about somebody, do you honestly think he would send that to Cynthia? I don't. I think Dow deserves more respect than that. All right, you know, I mean, so think about that way. I'm sure he mentioned other men, but he might they might have been really derogatory, you know. And Dow was like, I can't send this to Cynthia, or like maybe it was Cynthia herself he was talking about, giving an honest opinion. And Dow was like, I don't want to hurt her feelings, or you know, or he's talking about a friend of Cynthia, or K-Pro, or Sacha, or Jason Dent. I mean, you don't know what he was saying, and I don't think I think Dow's got more respect for people. I don't think he would do that if it was dirt. So
yeah, I don't
my
think so either.
yeah, my guess is even the three women. No, I don't think one of them's Barbara because I don't think he would. I don't think that, especially Barbara. I don't think Dow would give Cynthia ammunition where he's bitching about Barbara. Hell, of course not. He would take that out.
So either.
You know, I mean, any female. So the audio he did send to Cynthia, including the other three women, I bet you if he listened to it, they probably wouldn't mind. I can't. I mean, I don't know who it is, but that wasn't up for Cynthia to decide. And like I said, I think that's a good thing that she did by not doing it. And she's also doing good that if you do come forward and say, hey, am I one of those people? And she says, yeah, you are. And then she's willing to give them a copy. If that's true and she's willing to give it to them, I believe it is, then that's also a good thing. And then she's leaving it up to them to decide. You want to put it out there? Go ahead. That's what she told me. She goes, you know, you can put it out there. I don't care. And then in return, I told her, now that I've heard it, K-Pro can put it out there and they can put out in context.
Yep.
If she wants to put the whole thing out there in context and leave my name,
because it makes a difference. It makes a
yeah,
difference.
if she wants to do that, leave my name in context, but remove the other three women from there. She has my permission to do it. I have no problem with it. I'll wear that as a badge, man. There's nothing that ain't derogatory at all. Even if he was mocking me when he said it, I don't care. I think it's funny. Props to him. Put it out there. I don't care. In context. I want to keep repeating that. In context.
Because it's important. It's very like so today. The context. I was talking with my wife about the conversation I was having last night, and how I mentioned. I was telling her how I wonder how people received what I was talking about, in a sense, as sometimes you feel like just a shadow hanging out around the house. And I mentioned that to her while we were outside, and like her attitude changed and things changed, and she went in, came out, she's like, that bothered me that you feel like that. They just feel like you're a shadow here. And I was like, no, baby. I was talking about the thrill of the chase. Like, you know, you got to put yourself in the shadow of Forrest Fenn and what he was going through in life and in his journeys to kind of understand him and where he's coming from and why he was doing what he was doing. So I had to save myself.
By the way, is Paul in the chat? If you are, you got to make him a moderator, man.
I don't see Paul in the chat. It's 5, 4, 3, 2,
Rob.
1. Yep. Nope, I don't see him.
Yeah, I thought Rob and Street would call back in. I guess not. Well, Street's going to go live tonight, so he's probably got shit to do.
I figured he was going live.
So I see you play the drums. I played a little bit of drums, not too much. Learned only a few songs. Played it sounds like you're learning to play just by listening to music, and that's kind of how I did it. I could be wrong.
I've been playing since high school, my guy, and obviously I've just got to the point where I can just hear something, I can just play it with rhythm.
Nice job.
Who's your favorite drummer?
Oh, I don't really have a favorite drummer. I just drum drum out and just for my emotions and stuff.
Mostly to rock. or do you like heavy metal or?
Oh, I love it all. Blues, country, you name it, I play anything.
Cool.
See, I only played like a couple songs, a couple.
Wait a minute,
Papa
Rob.
Roach songs.
Are you sitting in a waiting room or something? He said he did call in.
No, he was in. He was just hanging out and chat now.
Oh no. I just said before. I said I'm surprised Rob and Street ain't calling in, and he said I did call in.
Well, I don't see where Street's at. I thought he was gonna go on, and I didn't see nothing, so I was like, all right, I guess I'll go on. And, I was hoping he'd stop by. He's a good man to conversate.
Well, Street probably doesn't want to come on because he's going to do a show at 8:00. So he probably I don't think he likes coming on this early. I do it for Paul mainly because I want to see people from or Mario if he wants to show up. I don't care. Yeah. And you're kind of like the middle guy. You're at the perfect time actually, right around supper.
Well, I'm toning it down to just Tuesdays at 7, so. That way it's, once a week, kind of keep it simple, and it can be short, but I know it'll turn into like a 3-4 hour conversation, because that's a week's worth of whatever. I know like one of the things I like to do just on my spare time is I get up in the morning and before I go to bed, I like to just do a search on Forrest Fenn, just the word, just to see what people are out there doing in the Chase marketplace.
Hey, did you ever figure out the whiteboards in Zoom? I know you said you had a whiteboard last time and you forgot to use it.
No, I mean like my whiteboard is like whiteboard, like.
Well, I mean the one in Zoom so that you can have presentations in Zoom.
Man, I don't know how to set up no presentation and stuff like that.
I had to click the button on the bottom. So you could just fire up Zoom. Go on, but don't click go live and just mess around. Click the whiteboards button, see what it does. Make the whiteboard. Don't do it now. Don't do it now, man. People to be drawing penises and stuff on
there. Yeah. I'd have to figure out how to erase stuff, and by the time I'm done erasing, next thing you know, you got a full-blown pornography picture up there drawn by like 2-3 people. It's like, oh, God, come on. Yeah, I've seen that happen to a few other individuals. It's like, nope, I don't want to put myself in that place. I don't want to be that guy that gets too drunk and passes out. And next thing you know, you wake up with like all kinds of weird designs on your face, especially nope, not happening.
So, Galaxy, you didn't answer the question. What would you do if you? Well, Forrest, knowing you, Forrest probably doesn't know your real name, but if he did, how would you feel? And same thing with you, Tyler. If let's say Cynthia or Dow came out with an audio clip of Forrest Fenn speaking without his political correct filter on, off the record, and he might have been saying something derogatory, would you want to hear it first, or would you don't care if people played your internet?
I wouldn't care. I'd be like, I can play it. And the words of Ben Napple.
I'd want to hear it first too.
Well, I mean, I don't care. I don't have to hear it first, and I'd love to hear it. I don't give a shit what it is.
I agree with Galaxy.
You know what though, Troy?
What?
I think I would be a little bit more upset that people had it to begin with.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I seen those comments. Yeah, you're right. What is
knowing that it could have done something for you personally? I mean,
but you know what though, Galaxy? Let's look at it from the perspective of we know that it was a biography because Forrest Fenn said it, right? So if Forrest Fenn is sitting with a writer that's going to write his biography, he's going to do things like that, right?
Yeah.
So the only problem would be not that Dow heard it, but that Dow released it. Is that what you're saying, Galaxy? Like who you mad that released it, Dow or Cynthia?
Well, I mean,
I would say
even
Dale sending it to Cynthia.
Okay, yeah, I would agree with that. Dow should have kept it to himself. Yeah.
Well, if the information isn't going to be used in the autobiography, then would it really matter what along the lines of information he did release from his recording that he recorded for his process of autobiography?
Well, but what will be? But all right, we know that Dow edited before he sent it to Cynthia, obviously, because it's only 15 minutes of audio or whatever.
Right.
So we know that it's a fact. So Why
Right.
couldn't Dow take the extra 5 seconds to edit out the part with my name and the 3 other women, edit that out before he sent it to Cynthia? I think that's what Galaxy means. I don't want to speak for him, but I would agree with that. He could have done that. He should have done that.
I mean, that's a good question. I mean,
Yeah.
mother lover, that tape measure, oh, that little puppy.
I'm sure there's probably a lot worse out there as far as
Well,
recordings go.
yeah, you would think at the very least that Forrest Fenn had a camera that was either in his office or at least by the vault or whatever, the garage, spare room, big giant doors people walk in with, the whatever they call it, that Forrest Fenn had, that he had his prized treasures in, I guess. But I mean, for safety, security reasons, for insurance purposes, I mean, when you're that valuable, you're gonna have security and all this stuff to protect your assets. I mean, and that I would think would be a no-brainer. But then again, I don't know. It could be wrong. Most
Think
likely,
about
yeah.
it. Think about it this way, Troy. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Kiwi.
No, you're good.
I just had a thought. You know, we all
Share it.
watched Cynthia be on TV for the last 7-8 years at least, right? And to
Yeah.
find out after it's over that she says that she had access to the emails and like responded to people, and then to hear she's also got audio is kind of crazy. Don't you agree?
I mean, she was one of those inside sources, wasn't she? Like with K-Pro being one of them, also. I'm sure Cal was through K-Pro, and then freaking you also had Dow. I mean, you had a lot of people that were inside sources but never found the search, which is almost ironic. And I mean, even Jack Stoop said he didn't want to be part of those inside sources. I mean, he didn't want nothing to do with that. He wouldn't be the one that knew nothing and figured everything out himself.
Well, I mean, how much time and effort, do you think he was putting into either writing the biography or looking into the chase, if much effort at all?
Yeah, I think he probably put a lot of effort into it. I would imagine it would be nice to know his last 10 years. But here, the email, it's on Hint of Riches. That's probably the easiest way to get it. You can see a copy of it. Cynthia put it out.
Yeah,
And you should
I
read it.
have it.
Okay, well, if you read the bottom, there's one other really interesting point that Dow makes. And Dow said he could be lying, and I don't remember the exact order of them all. He gave like 5 reasons, okay?
Yeah.
And then one of the other reasons was he could be putting it out there to bait somebody. And I found that very interesting. In other words, he put it out there. It literally says it. He goes, he put it out there, and then if it shows up anywhere on the blogs, then he knows who he could trust and who he can't trust. That's exactly what Dow said in that email. So how do you know that they didn't do the same thing with this poem stuff? And Shiloh or somebody in the family is doing something to see who's trustworthy, and the first people to blab all that stuff out, then they know right there that they can't trust them. Or maybe they were testing Cynthia to see what she would do with just a couple of names. Okay, and she did the right thing by not putting them out there. So it could be exactly like Dow said in the mail. He could have been back then, not now, he's dead. But back then, he could have been testing people by putting shit out there like that because it was off the record. So if he told Dow that, and then all of a sudden, let's say K-Pro or me or Street or somebody comes out with a video saying, what if there's a poem that you read, or I heard this from somebody, Forrest Fenn would know instantly it came from Dow. He would know instantly, I can't trust Dow. So Dow may be playing the same game, and he actually put it in the mail. He could be testing Cynthia and them to see, well, what will I give her out of the autobiography? Because she's got an hour and 45 minutes more of or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why else would he say that? Why? I've never heard Dow say that, because he could have just left it as maybe he was messing with me. He didn't have to break into a separate number where he says, what if he is trying to see if I'm trustworthy? I found that very, very interesting. And I forgot to mention it. Great point, man. What if he was trusting somebody? That's a great point.
I mean, that's how you find out there's leaks from moles, you know?
Well, yeah, it's like when you're writing a book, and I've said this before, the way they stop plagiarism is they'll put certain things in the book, and the plagiarizer just copies word for word. It's going to include that mistake, and they actually put that part as part of their copyright. So if a plagiarizer comes out and plagiarizes the intentional mistake, there's no denying that they stole your content. So you could do the same thing here. You come out with 85% of the truth, and then the other 15% is something that you put out there. And if it shows up, you know that the person is unreliable. I can definitely, Forrest was a smart guy. And like you're talking about security, we know he had security because when the street went to his house, he knew who was at the gate before he even went out there. So he's got cameras all over the fucking place out there. Why else
Yeah.
do you think Eugene told me? Because he left me in the vault alone for like 10 minutes. Why would he do something like that? Maybe he was testing.
You'd have to have some trust, you know? And that's how you test.
Yeah, he might have been trusting Eugene, testing him. What's this guy going to do if I leave him alone? He may have done the same thing to Cynthia. What's she going to do if I leave her alone in my office near the computer? Having said that, if you listen to Cynthia's audio with the woman specifically, the woman that lives in Santa Fe, he clearly shows Dal the email content that she wrote because he goes, Dal, come here, look, she's emailing me right now. And Dal looks at it, he goes, read that. And Dal was reading the email right there. So he was showing Dal emails and the chase wasn't over. I mean, think about that too, right?
Huh.
Why was that done? Maybe he staged that email. Maybe he was testing Dal again there. Hey, is Dal going to repeat what he sees in that email? Is he going to take it as a hint? I think Forrest Fence set up honeypots. I really do. I think he was intelligent enough to say, I'm really going to test Dal before I die. If I want to make sure if this guy does my biography, is he honest? So what better way than to tell Doug Preston or somebody, hey, create an account, whatever, called Mary Jones. Email me at this exact time. And he knows he's going to be with Dal. So bam, bam, bam. He says right there, you can hear the beeps. The 3 emails come in. And then he shows it and tells Dal to read it. So now he's got confirmation that Dal read that email. So whatever was said, let's just say it said something in there about a second poem or it was location. Hey, 9 Mile Hole. I'm looking at 9 Mile Hole. It's a chest there, whatever. And he shows it to Dal. Dal reads it. Next thing you know, a week later, all of a sudden out in the blog, somebody's saying, hey, 9 Mile Hole. I've been hearing a lot of stuff. Now he knows immediately Dal gave it away, Shut up.
Who's
I
that,
mean,
the doggy?
are you talking about this? What's the quote that's where Forrest Fenn told Dal to shut up? Is that what you're talking about, Sway?
No, he didn't. He didn't tell anybody to shut up. If anything, he told me to shut up because it comes right after he mentions my name. He goes, just if you're going to find a chest, just keep it secret. Don't tell anybody. Just shut up.
Yeah.
That's the way he ended it right after he mentions me. So he was just saying in general, I think, not to me. He was just saying in general, if you find a chest, no matter who you are, just shut up. You don't need to tell me. I don't need to know your name or anything. Just shut up. I think that's the way he meant it. I think that's the
Well,
real.
then you also got to add in the other context of him telling Dal that it was a private conversation. Didn't he say that? Or was that a little bit after that?
Yeah, but he might have been again. That's why I said things are rearranged.
And that's why I think you made a brilliant statement with your email, because I think what happened during that time frame is that Forrest Fenn was showing Dal an email, and he goes, "Look, this is a private conversation."
Right, and I showed you guys. I'm going to show that next time I go live. I have that email, and Forrest Fenn goes, "I think it was unethical of you to post my private email." So that's exactly what I mean. You know what I mean? Like, but he didn't say anything like that. So maybe he did, and it was cut out. I mean, everything was so heavily edited; it's unreliable. But I'm curious. I'm curious why on show number 10, Cynthia didn't play the poem part. Was that because it was missing, or did she take it out?
Well, when was this interview made? That's the question.
It's right on her channel. It's show number 10. Go to her channel, look at show number. It was in 2022. Oh, the interview? I said October 19th, 2019.
Oh shit! So, that makes it even worse. Troy was what it could have been is Jack Stoop had sent Forrest an email, and Forrest didn't want nobody knowing about Jack Stoop being close to it. So he was like telling Dow, "Look, here's this. The chest could be found this year, but obviously that could have been cut out, and that might not even been said."
Well, yeah, that's the point. I think that's what the kind of stuff that K Pro is trying to find out, and that she wants to find out what's happening with the strange ending. There's nothing wrong with her doing that. I agree with that, but the problem is we're never going to hear that audio. I don't think he would send that to Cynthia. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, it could even been a like behind the scenes email where Forrest was never just showing that Jack Stoop was close to the treasure chest and was almost dead near it. And
Yeah.
that was like,
Yeah,
don't say
I don't believe any of that. I think that he was a big fake. I don't believe anything about Jack, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, and that listen, it'd be interesting to see what the retriever's story is on how they truly retrieved it versus emails that are written up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That'd be an interesting story to hear.
Well, maybe that'll come out. I mean, the only person that I think should come out with something like that should be the Forrest Fenn estate. I don't want to say Shiloh. I would say the estate. Shiloh doesn't have permission to do anything. He's not the estate. Zoe is responsible for the estate, so everything has to go through Shiloh's mother. That'll be my opinion. She is the estate.
She's the direct descendant.
Exactly. Well, no, because she's named as the executor. She is the estate, not her son. She is.
Who, Zoe?
Well, I say that specifically because K Pro was telling me, and I don't see nothing wrong with saying this, that when Carl Summers gave them the cease and desist about the rumbling and ramblings 2.0, she asked them
about.
Well, I mean, she admitted that during the live show, right? But she told me that she had to contact Carl to find out what she can and can't say. And one of the things that Carl, because in some cases we may hear something different from the estate and from Shiloh, and basically Carl Summers said Zoe is the estate, and then she said again, but what about this Shiloh come out? And he said, I'm going to tell you again, I represent Zoe. So he didn't say I don't represent Shiloh, but he made it clear that he's representing the estate. So in other words, he's kind of saying whatever Shiloh's saying, whatever he's doing, I don't represent that. I have nothing to do with that. I'm not speaking on behalf of that. Now that came from K Pro, so I don't know the fact. You know what I mean? But I can see that, and she said and I think that was good too. She didn't come out with the rumbling and ramblings PDF files until she confirmed it with Carl. And ultimately they said no. I mean, but she had to contact them because of the cease and desist. And that's why she did that. And she said that in a live show.
Well, I think it might even be plausible that Kelly and Zoe may be in contact with each other. And obviously Kelly may have told Zoe where the chest was found. It's possible.
It is, but all I'm saying is all what Carl said is there's the legal representative of the estate is Zoe. It's not Kelly. It's not Shiloh. It's Zoe. She's named. She's the one that has the ultimate decision. The other family members don't have anything in it. I'm sure they talk to each other, but legally, she's the one I would imagine that has a binding statement. And I think that's what Carl was trying to say is that, hey, I'm representing the estate. Whoever you hear something from, I don't need to know it. I'm not going to talk about it. I have nothing to do with the estate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he did that. I think it was wise to do that too, especially in light of what's going on with all this stuff with people being doxxed and stuff like that, to distance himself from it. Because I think Carl is smart enough to see what's coming. You know what I mean? I don't think Carl's a stupid man. I think he knows what he's doing, you know?
Well, how long has he been his attorney?
I have no idea.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't really care about all that. I mean, if they, I don't think it's that complicated. I think it's just a matter of the fact that originally Dow was going to do the biography, and then the family, for some reason, decided no, we're going to do it. And I think that's as simple as that. They want to have control. They don't want Dow and anybody else to be able to use information or be privy of information that Forrest Fenn gave because they intend to use it. They don't want it to show up in other people's books. Simple as that. I think it's that simple. I don't think there's anything bad that happened, and and I mean, this is normal stuff. If somebody was going to write a book about you, you're gonna talk about your history. But the person that's going to write the book, they're not going to leave the real names. They're going to change the names, or they're going to do whatever. But you're going to give them raw, unedited data. And if you're going to do that, it's very likely that Forrest Fenn was testing Dow in 2019 to say, is this man really capable? I mean, because maybe Dow's not telling you the whole story. Maybe that's why why Dow backed out after the fine. Maybe he got pissed off because they said, you're not going to do the biography. And Dow's like, well, thanks a lot, Forrest. I wasted 10 years. I mean, we don't know what happened. That's all speculation, but who cares? How is it going to help us find out where the chest was and what the solve was? It isn't. Because like Street was saying, the family does not own the rights to giving out the solution. They don't own it. The person that solved it and found the chest owns it. And that's per Forrest Fenn when we entered into the chase. So technically, the finder could sue the Fenn family if they came out with a solve before he did and without his permission. Forrest don't own that. He made it very clear. He said, all my family owns is the thrill of the chase. That's it. And he said, once I put that chest out there, it's all up to the finder. That means the location of the solve. So is Shiloh going to come out with the answer? Unless he's working with the solver? No, he can't. He can't legally do it. This is like common sense. I don't know why everybody's all like, ooh, what's in, And he also, the same thing with the jar. The family owns what's in the jar. So if it did have that poem in there, I don't think it does. I think it's all bullshit. Like I said, it makes sense. You're trying to sell or force somebody to open up that jar. You're going to come up with a story about that. There might be some secret poem in there that was, that.
Well, you got to think of it this way: is the secret poem in there isn't coming from the olive jar buyer, but rather from somebody else who would rather see the jar opened.
Well, that's the other point. How do you know the jar wasn't tampered with? And that's why they didn't want to sell Ben. Somebody opened it up and stuck a poem in there, and they're making up a lie. How do you know? That's why I don't think Forrest would do something like that. I'm sure he had to be prepared for fraud. I mean, he would be a complete idiot if he just threw a chest out there and let whatever happens happen. I'm sure he set up all kinds of legal walls and all kinds of ways to assure that there's no way him or his family would get in trouble unless he's an idiot. I mean, come on, really? Do you honestly? And the man's worth between 50 and 60 million, let's say. Is he going to risk all that for $1 million chest? Really?
What are your thoughts there, Tyler?
On the interview, or just what Troy said?
What Troy just said.
I mean, he's right. I mean, I don't really think there's anything in the autobiography. One, because Forrest Fenn has, it's been discussed before, but it's been rarely discussed. Forrest Fenn has publicly stated in the past that his special spot reason has been completely taken out of the autobiography, and which means the special spot was also taken out. Along with
Tyler, he also said not only was it taken out of the autobiography, I never wrote anything down with the solution or location, and it's nowhere on my computer, which means it's nowhere in his archives, nowhere. And even somebody at his computer can't get it because it's not on the computer.
Yeah, it goes to show the Nookers are just trying to make their own narrative, so they seem right and everyone else seems wrong. I mean, it's fucked up what they're doing, but I mean, if you go back to Cynthia Meach's interview with Forrest Fenn, if it's actually true, Forrest Fenn publicly stated in that interview, one, he didn't want it released because, let's say, he went through all the the land issues that would come with the finder and everything being released. He even said for the private property, which is what I'm, on, rounds wise with the Cody solve. There's a gate off of the past that Don Little Park, Buffalo Bill Historical Center, private property, and he even stated that the people that own that land are going to be pissed. I mean, I never really said that, but I made it public now. I mean, that's the reason he doesn't want to release, because he doesn't want the people that originally owned the land to get involved and have government involved and all other nonsense, along with taxation and shit with the chest. So he wanted the person to go quietly with no tax or anything.
As far as like the land thing, I've noticed twice now, and I think twice now because of the recent videos that come out. But Forrest mentions, and it's the way he states it. He states public land, private property, and native land. He doesn't break down the public land at all into any groups whatsoever, national, state, whatever. It's just public lands, native lands, and then private property. That's twice now I've heard him in unless it's the same conversation, which I don't think it was, but that's would be twice now I've heard him. They state it just specifically like that. He's not breaking it down. He's not saying it's on BLM and national park, or he's not naming where it could not be. He's just saying public land, which could or could not be any one of those places. That's how I listening to it. You know what I mean?
But yeah, if you even go back to Capro and Cal's freaking Doug Preston and Forrest Fenn interview, Forrest Fenn even talks about what happens if I own a cabin, and do I own the backyard of it or no? I mean, that's why that's why I got my confirmation with this whole Cody stuff. I'm like, shit. I mean, if it's Don Martinez's backyard or tackle shop's backyard, I mean, I guess he owns the rights. Because it could even be that in the backyard of tackle shop, his parents and great parents owned the cabin motel camps back there. So I mean,
a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the greater the possibility comes from being able to put Forrest Fenn within 500 feet of anybody's place. You know what I mean? Because he's been around some places, and it's interesting where the places he's been, and so it's interesting to find out where other searchers have been, and etc. and whatnot. It's always good to learn different things and new avenues and stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, like somebody's saying, I don't know. Didn't he say government lands? I don't know if he might have said government lands or not, but government land, I guess, would be almost a different type of property.
Technically, BLM land is public land. State parks. Yeah. I mean, any land owned by the public, by the state or the city or taxpayers, is public land. Anything else is private land. It's owned by a business, it's owned by an individual. But then they divide the public land up, because the public land is also national forests, national parks, but they just divide it up. But with Sarah Davis, that's interesting too, that nobody really talks about. I mentioned it, but essentially Sarah Davis ruled out all national forests because she said it's land managed by the Department of Interior. The Department of Interior does not manage national forests. So all national forests are ruled out because that's the Department of Agriculture.
Huh.
So it's got to be a national park or BLM or an Indian reservation. Yeah, exactly. It's not in a national forest. She ruled it out. They don't manage it. The Department of Interior. National Forest is not even under their umbrella. It's a completely different branch of the government.
I'm going to make a statement, and I'm going to ask a question. So Forrest Fenn said land isn't an issue, as Street says. But let me read y'all this. You and Troy both own houses, Kiwi. I'm sure when y'all first bought the house, you had to sign documents, right? If you read those documents, there's a particular area where it says any gold, silver, anything treasure related, you outright own all that treasure stuff.
No,
I ain't ever
that
seen
depends
that.
on the state.
No, no,
It depends on the state. Yeah, it
no.
does.
If
In
it's
some
on your
states,
land,
you don't own the mineral rights. You don't own what's in the ground in some
no,
states.
no, you do. If it's your property that you just
Nope,
bought, you outright own the stuff
nope,
that's on your land.
nope.
Yes,
Not
yes,
in all states. No, that's wrong.
no,
That
it's
is
not. But
absolutely wrong. Nope, it's wrong. In some states, you are. In New Mexico, you are. You could be on top of a kiva and own everything in there. But not in every state, that's not true. I don't know about Montana and
I
Colorado.
need to own some property down that way then.
I'm talking on house property, the
Nope.
house property
Nope.
that you just
Go
bought.
look
Yes,
up mineral rights. No, you don't own the rights. If they found like an oil well or something under the ground and you live in a state where you don't own the mineral rights or the rights in the ground, you don't own it.
Yeah, you have to
that's
make
why I'm
sure
going
that it's
silver.
in the documents when you're transferring. Is that you
Exactly.
own the timber rights, the mineral rights, the water rights. If you don't make sure that those three things are claimed on your when you're transferring of land deeds, then you're screwed out of those things, regardless if you have all abundance of all three of those. And
Exactly.
so it differs. I mean, there might be
I'm
states
not
where
putting on
they
the
have
minerals.
that
I'm,
statement in
I'm,
there.
I'm specifying on if you find a bounty on your personal house land, it's outright you outright own it. I'm not speaking on the water bills and all. I'm just specifying on if you
No,
found a bounty.
but you don't own what's under the ground in every state. Some states, yeah. I don't know about Florida, to be honest with you. I don't know about
Well,
every individual state. I don't know, but I do know that the mineral rights and everything under the ground in some states, you do not own it. It can't be part of your deed. The state owns it. The government owns it. And
yeah,
by
as
the
I
way,
said,
I do know for sure. We know for sure that that's not the case in New Mexico because that was the problem. That's why the BLM was pissed off at Forrest because Forrest was able to dig up that kiva and keep all them artifacts because that's the law in the state of New Mexico. You know what I mean? So they couldn't do anything about it. They tried, but they couldn't do anything about it.
need to get some property down that way.
Yeah.
So if anybody's in a YouTube channel, shoot me an email. If you got some good melody detected property you want melody detected or company doing, I come down there. You never know. Might bring Kiwi along for the ride. Though I probably doubt it because she'd just be cooped up in the camper all day while I'm out having fun. And that one would be very nice. She needs to stay home with Mama if she needs to be.
Hey, Kiwi,
Yeah, what's up?
Let me, I'll show you here. This is from some lawyer's website, Wells for Florida, for example. Do you own the mineral rights? Mineral rights separate from your property rights. As such, they are often handled and traded separately. So many property owners do not also own the mineral rights if that's their property. It is common for the development company or other entity, they parcel the land out. But it's the same thing with mineral rights, all different kinds of rights.
They'll parcel the land. You only own
it. Yeah, all you own is the surface area. Yep. That's it. They could dig under your property, and also they have easements. Some case, like in New Mexico, if it's navigable water and it's running right through your private property or river, anybody can go in that river. You can't fucking stop them as long as it's navigable water. Can't do anything about it. However, that doesn't mean, let's say you were on the river and you found a piece of ancient pottery. You can't take that. You're supposed to, what they call geotag it and inform the government. A lot of people will just take it. I'm just saying, legally, you're not supposed to do it.
Right.
And that's true in New Mexico too. And Greg was looking into going to the BLM land right next to Forrest Fence property. You can actually walk on that kiva because you own that land. That's BLM. But even if you're there on that BLM land, you can't take any of the pottery. You can't. It's all against the law. You can't take anything
let me read this to you, Troy, so you understand.
Antiquities Act.
Treasure Trove Law in America. This is actual website. An article. Yep. The civil law states that any treasure found on someone's personal property becomes the property of the finder.
Becomes the property of the finder.
If the property, it depends on the state. It'd be the owner of the private property if it was on private property.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. If it's
the U.S.
trespassing, as a matter of fact, you'd be in jail. Right, but that has nothing to do like gold, minerals, ancient artifacts and stuff, metal detecting.
thing with a treasure bounty in general, not minerals or anything else other than treasure, like coins and what do you call it?
Bullion, silver bars, gold bars.
Yeah, but
that's what I'm thinking of.
all I'm saying is it differs state to state. There was a case, I don't remember where I seen it, but it was in California. Some couple on their property, found coins, like an old stash,
Yep.
200 years old, and they lost all of it because they don't own the rights to it.
Damn.
That's a fact. I'm not making it up. So it changes state to state. It varies completely. In Wyoming, I believe it's finders keepers. In other words, as long as you're not on private property, wherever you are, if it was a treasure trove, you can keep it.
Well, I've looked out with mine because I did exactly what we're talking about, is doing all the research and, you know, I's crossed and T's dotted. You know what I mean? Rules and regulations, how boring they are, but they're a necessity.
Yeah, a lot of people will just take it and ignore the law, but it's not a problem until you go to sell the item and you're trying to get provenance. Now you got an issue. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. I mean, anybody that says, sure, you're walking down a river in New Mexico and you find a piece of pottery, you're probably going to take it and put it in your pocket. Nobody's going to know otherwise. But if you found the whole base and you put it in a stash and took it out, and then you sell it, and then somebody finds out that you shouldn't be owning it, then you have a problem. You know, where did you get it?
Yeah, Antiquities Act.
Yeah, I mean, technically, you're not even supposed to take arrowheads from any national park or any national forest, any publicly owned land. It's illegal to take a fucking arrowhead.
Yeah.
But people do it because who cares? You know, who's going to find out? But if you went and found a Clovis point or something that's worth a lot of money, they're going to question where you got it from. You know what I mean? Obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But the mineral rights thing, I found that interesting. That sucked. You buy a house in some states and you find out you're digging in your backyard and there's a fucking oil well, like you're Jed Clampett. Nope, sorry. State's going to come in and claim all the rights to that oil.
Yep. Unless you made sure that when you were signing over the land deed and stuff that you had those rights in there.
That's if the state allows you to transfer those rights. Some of those rights aren't transferable. Right.
Which is even worse. What gives them the right to sit there and be able to not, it's like, come on.
Hey, you know, in New York City, for example, in New York, because of the skyscrapers, their law is so specific that it also mentions an altitude. I swear to God, that's true because of the fact that you have skyscrapers. So let's say you bought a friggin' condo outright. So now you own that condo. You got to pay, let's say there's 10 condos there. So you're going to pay 1/10 of the property taxes for the area that the whole complex takes up. But now you only physically own what's above and right below, like at your floor level. So you can't claim anything that's at the floor below you or, it's really fucked up the way. Yeah, it sucks.
Wow.
Could you imagine buying 50 acres and finding out you're on top of a gold mine or something, and then you look and the state law says, sorry, not transferable, you don't own the rights. And it gets worse, Kiwi, because they can then make an easement to access that oil well or that gold mine right on your fucking property and dig a fucking hole right in the middle of your yard. You can't do shit about it.
Yeah, they're really reining in on them mining rules and regulations. That's why I try to keep it simple with a little dredging.
Yeah. I imagine how pissed off Forrest was that he had to go through all that in New Mexico.
Yeah.
So what did they do? They buy the property, literally. I mean, it literally cuts right across that Kiva area on the hill.
What are the chances? You know what I mean? That he was going down to do something. Next thing you know, he's into this, or was it pre-planned? I mean, did he eye this piece of property for a long time and watched it, and then finally bought it? Or makes you wonder.
I don't know if this is true or not. I heard it from somebody, I don't remember who, but they were saying that when Forrest initially sued them, and I believe he lost, but he sued them and he tried to claim, now this is all hearsay, that somebody in the United States government or somebody tried to plant like human bones on his side of the property so that they can then come after him for, because even if it's your property and you find human remains, you're required to
Yeah.
report it. You know, even though you own a property, that's, I think, where the laws jump in too. Because if you found like some 200-year-old person, a Civil War or whatever was buried, you now you got another problem. So you got to, that's fucked up. I think that happened recently in, I think, Georgia. Somebody found an old grave. Their house or area is built on top of an
Oh,
old grave.
really?
Yeah.
Really?
That's interesting too in itself, because why did they let him build on top of a grave?
Well, it makes you wonder how many was more there too.
Yeah, well, I mean, back before we had property lines and all of that, how do you know people weren't buried right where your foundation? You don't know. Like,
I mean,
especially on the East Coast or somewhere on the West Coast where it's really populated. You don't know what was there 1,000 years ago, you know?
well, you would think that some of them, the biggest and bloodiest battles, that there's no way they policed up all of their dead. You know what I mean? They had to probably just leave the
By the way,
battlefield and let.
by the way, Bill, you're wrong. I don't care who you talk to. You're not wrong. It's not finders keepers. It's not bullshit. If you go in Colorado, Bill, and you find an ancient artifact and you take it, you just broke the law, bud. You're wrong. You talk it out your ass, guy. And I could say that because I'm the chase supervisor, Bill. Never forget that. I am the fucking searcher supervisor, straight before his Ben's mouth. I got a title, Bill. You don't. You're dragging around a rusty cowl.
So, I mean, there's one exclusion, and that is if you find arrowheads on property that's owned personal property, you got permission from the owner, you can keep the ancient artifacts.
Yes,
To include
100%.
arrowheads, stone axes, whatever, as long as you got that owner's permission.
You know what?
And that's why it's hard to find private property to metal detect on. That's
Well,
one of the reasons about this.
I'm glad you said that, Kiwi, because if you think about it, what did Jack Stoof do? He left it overnight and called Forrest in and asked for permission.
Well, they said he did that. I think it's all bullshit. He
No, I
wouldn't do
think
that.
it's actually, I think it's true because I think it goes back just to say that I think it was legitimately founding Cody, the spot that I have, and it's private property, and he asked Forrest for permission to go trespass the land. And even if it's all a chase, it says, "I dare you to find my treasure." Why do you think he would dare you? I mean, come on now, it's private property. It was him giving permission for you to personally trespass the land. To go
Well, what
find his
happens when
treasure.
he's dead? What happens when he's dead?
Well, see, that's a good observation. I mean, I got a question about that. I mean, how would you know who owned the property of which of where it was located? If it's wherever you Forrest would own property to locate it.
I got an answer to that. If he went to clue number 9 and he put a proxy item like a bell, a jar, and you found that at clue number 9, you open it up, and in there is a land trust deed that gives you legal access to private property, and it tells you where it is. And now you got the deed in your hand. You go to the courthouse, you become the owner, and then you walk right on the private property that you now own, and there's the treasure chest. That's how he could have done it.
You know what?
So it could have been
That's a good way.
It could have been in Cody, Tyler, because you don't know. At clue number 9, there could have been a title to the gold, and the title will give you access to the private property, and you don't need to contact Forrest, and it would work when Forrest is dead.
All you had to do is just go to the parking lot.
There's something that obviously you and Kiwi just made me think, Troy, and I just thought about it for a second. So let me think about this with Kiwi's statement of how would we know where it was at. Well, Forrest Fenn did say there's one way to know, but he wouldn't tell us. And I just mentioned it was Buffalo Bill Historical Center private property, and it's more than likely maybe still owned by Buffalo Bill Historical Center, which is the Buffalo Bill Center of the West Museum property. And so obviously if the finder found it and they took it to the museum and said, "This is Forrest Fenn's treasure chest, can you all verify it?" Obviously it would have gone public and from the museum, and it would have gotten all of the news, and that's how we probably would have known.
except for one problem. And I'll refer you back to 2019, the scrapbook that I helped Forrest get the hammer research. Go read what they said right there. Forrest Fence said it is not on any property that's managed or owned by the Buffalo Bill Museum.
No,
So
yeah,
that
no.
rules out anything that
well,
they
yeah,
own.
a museum property, museum keyword museum property, not property that's not off of that museum property. Does that make sense to you? Like anywhere that
Well,
is hitting
no,
off
it
the
does. It does make sense if you're saying like the owner of the property, separate from. If the museum is listed
So,
on the title as the owner, then it wouldn't be there. But
well,
that doesn't
so let me
mean.
explain myself. So obviously, Harold McCracken, like I told you, was the first director of the Buffalo Bill Museum, Service in the West Museum, and it was McCracken's property, but it's obviously been passed down to whoever. And Forrest even said, and if you go back to the Cody interview, that it was owned at that time when he made the interview, that it was, I think, owned by the Cody Chamber of Commerce. So, which means, I mean, obviously, the ownership from Buffalo Bill Historical Center was made passed down to Cody Chamber of Commerce. I mean, but obviously, like I said, it was not associated with the museum, but obviously it was because of McCracken. Does that make sense?
Kinda.
Oh, by the way, I just want to say he left. I was going to type it in chat. Galaxy, I agree with what you typed in the chat here. The chat in the Zoom meeting. I agree with that. Yeah.
What's that?
I don't know. Maybe Cynthia. You know what? Dow can answer these questions. Well, just look in the Zoom meeting chat. You'll see what Galaxy wrote.
It turns me all sideways when I do that kind of stuff. Definitely clear.
I'm getting the street's favorite type of drink real quick. I was looking for my shoes. I was trying to think while looking for my keys and my shoes, but I decided to go shoeless.
Oh.
Yeah, he definitely would. I think what he's saying, Galaxy is saying that he technically would need a release from everybody that's named, and Carl would have objected to doing that. I think that's what Galaxy.
Well, that's what I was getting to. I was alluding to, like, obviously the museum would have told obviously the finder when they came to them that you probably need to go to this person. Because I'm sure the museum would have done the research and probably would have called somebody.
Well, that's why I said the proxy item with the title would make sense, because if Forrest Fenn was dead, the title is still valid, and his estate or the law firm that would own, or the corporation, better, an S corp, an LLC, owns the deed, and Forrest Fenn pre-signed it, puts it in a sealed jar. You find it at clue number 9, and then it gives you access to the private property. You don't need to contact Forrest. You could just go there.
Well,
and also that would make sense because the chest would be right there. You can take it anytime you want. You don't need anybody's permission.
Let's just state a possibility or hypothetical situation. Let's say, obviously, let's kind of give into the Cody situation. So let's say, obviously, hypothetically speaking, that the property of the McCracken cabin is maybe technically still owned by Buffalo Bill Historical Center. And obviously, Forrest's intention was for the finder to originally sell it to the museum. So it could be just like I said on Susie Van Haven's live stream, that they could sell it to them and display it on the museum property.
If it was owned by McCracken, I think if it was owned by McCracken, yeah, they can do that. But if it's owned by the Buffalo Bill Association, I don't think so, because he said that they don't own it. It's not on any property. I'm trying to find the scrapbook here. See exactly what it says.
I know which scrapbook you're talking about. Because remember, Lucky Digger and Candy and Holy mentioned it to me when I was thinking.
Well, it's scrapbook 207, which I talked about. I helped them on that.
I'll pull it up for you because I have all the scrapbooks actually downloaded on my computer.
I do too. I'm looking at it now.
You helped him with a scrapbook?
Here we go. I'll show it to you. Exactly what he said.
Does he mention you in the scrapbook too?
No.
Oh.
No, what I'm saying
is that would have been even double cool, you know what I mean?
No, we were there when before he made the scrapbook, and he asked me to find out what happened with the hammer so that he could write the scrapbook. But right here, The email confirms my story about the hammer at Sharp Crab. Maybe it's time for me to give another hint. The Fenn treasure chest is not hidden at the Buffalo Bills Center or of the West in Cody or any property owned by them. So right there, he just ruled out any property owned by these people, by this center.
But that would
Now you know what? You know what though,
think about
Tyler?
this though. That would only be known by you if that's an email between you and Forrest.
No,
Nobody else would know that.
this ain't an
you.
email. This is Scrapbook
Oh.
207.
Oh yeah, all right, yes. Well, see, there you go. That answers
It's in
that
public.
question.
And look when this came out, 10, 14, 19. This is why I'm telling you that I just got done helping Forrest on this scrapbook. I don't care what Candy
See,
said.
that's what
She's
throws me
irrelevant.
off is the email, and it's just like it throws my head like. Okay,
No,
but that
Karen
would be
emailed her. Look at
Yeah.
this is the scrapbook. Okay.
Yeah.
And all the way at the bottom, this is what I got into an argument with Forrest about.
Okay.
But this
Yeah.
is an email that the Buffalo Bills Center that represents Joseph Henry Sharp, the curator, Karen,
Yep.
wrote to him. So he's responding to her here, the
Yeah.
email below, but he says
Yep.
it is not hidden.
Makes sense.
But however, to support Tyler, if it's owned by McCracken himself, then it is not owned by the Buffalo Bills Center of the Western Cody. You understand what I'm saying? So it could be McCracken's property. But if
Well, he
the
didn't say
title,
or. He said in, not or. So he said the treasure chest is not hidden at the Buffalo Bills Center of the West in Cody or any property owned by them. In other words, not any property owned by the Buffalo Center of the West Museum that was located in Cody, Wyoming.
no,
Not any
he's got
property
a
owned by
comma.
Cody.
He's got a comma. He says, or any property owned by
that's why
this.
that's why he was specifying on the sense of that the treasure chest was not hidden on any property or at the Buffalo Bills Center of the West or any property owned by the Buffalo Center West Museum.
Yeah, so what he's hinting at here, the reason why he did that is because obviously the Buffalo Bills Center of the West owns property outside of Cody. So he's saying it's not on any of their property. He probably put that in there for Eugene, to be honest with you.
Well, no, but you also got to think of the context behind of why this scrapbook was written, because a lot of people were like digging on the museum property, like actual on like museum grounds, like Kiwis Museum grounds, and like.
Yeah, but that's the context, Tyler. That's why he made it a point to make the statement, because he had a lot of people going to the museum, and the museum was getting pissed off because people are fucking around with Center to West property. So he wanted to make it clear. Yeah, I know this was a fact because I was talking to him. I have the emails. This is the whole thing that caused the argument. And look, it happened 4 days or 5 days before he did the interview audio that we're discussing. 5 days before it. So I'm telling you, I don't care what Candy said. She doesn't know what she's talking about. I was there. I was working on it. I know. But this specific thing. So yeah, I mean, but I think Kyle.
I mean, it's clearly right there. He's dropping a hint that it's not, on any property owned by the Bill Center of the West.
Right, but here's my argument that I had with him with that after he wrote that. I said he says here the Fenn chest is not hidden. He does not say that there are no clues at the Buffalo Bill Center to West in Cody or any property owned by them. I mean, you gotta watch the way he writes things. So I certainly believe there were hints there, and I told Forrest, you never ruled that out. That was the whole point of the argument.
That would make, absolutely.
I mean, I tried to describe this because I had such an involvement in the scrapbook multiple times, but people have selective hearing, and they're going to try to read more into it. No, I'm not talking about anybody on the panel, but I'm saying they say shit and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. This is right from the man. This is not hearsay. It's not me saying it. Right from the man.
No, yeah, I agree.
I totally see that. Yeah, the other day when you were going over that, I was looking at it, I'm thinking like, dude, this is if this is talking about an email, this email's between this person and this person. How would anybody else know this information, But realizing it now that the same thing, because this is the same one you referenced like a week ago or something. It makes sense now that no, this is a scrapbook he put out there
And
to let
this
people
was,
know, hey,
yeah, and this was the email exchange that I showed in the video when he was alive. And then he replied to me in that reply, and he told me that what did he say? It was unethical of you to include my email in that. It was private conversation. That's how I'm relating it to the audio. Exactly. So I don't give a fuck what anybody says with hearsay. I'm showing it to you from the guy's mouth himself. I don't care about bullshit and fucking Discord. They have no fucking clue what they're fucking talking about. And it's got my name. It's got my name in the fucking audio. So yeah, I'm going to talk about it. He's talking about me. So I'm going to give my opinion. As soon as it says somebody else's name in there, they can go and give their opinion on their name. But I'm just trying to help out and showing you why he said what he said. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give you more context. Because if you just listen to the audio, it's meaningless because all the context is gone. Because I think Dal took it out before he sent it to Cynthia. That's all I'm saying.
yeah.
I don't think anything weird went on. Yeah, people are trying to make a big fucking deal.
Obviously, Dale was doing an autobiography. He can't sit there and write things down all the time as quick as somebody's speaking. You got to record it. That way you can go back to it and reference. That's why they're always recording interviews and press conferences and stuff like that. It's like because you don't want to miss a word while you're trying to figure out writing down what he just last said. You know what I mean?
Exactly, so and that's what Galaxy said. And that's what Galaxy was pointing to. The fact that and Cynthia was smart enough to pick up on this. The fact that he mentions people by name, and I'm only going to use me as an example because my name is in there. He doesn't have the legal right to release it. That's why Cynthia was smart. I'm not releasing this. So technically, Dal did not have the right to give it to Cynthia. And Galaxy is right on the money because Carl Summers would have objected to this because essentially Dal would need a legal release from me in order to give it to Cynthia. And he didn't get that. I don't really give a shit because he didn't say nothing bad about me. But if he did say something bad about me, I can use it against them. That's why Cynthia was being smart and she didn't put it out there. That's exactly why. But I give him permission now. I don't care. Cover your ass because you don't have we're not talking about public information here. This was a private conversation. Yep. And you need a release. They don't have a release from Troy Barlow. They don't have a release from the women. I'm sorry, but that's why. That's why, I think that's why I gave Cynthia props because she did the right thing. She essentially got a release. Exactly. Yeah. But my question is, why did Dal give it to her when he had no permission to do that? I'm not going to fight it. I don't care but imagine if he came out and said, hey, that Troy Barlow's a real asshole, like suppose it wasn't something good. Then I probably would have taken action against Dal and the Fenn estate.
No, it probably had something to do that Forrest was either saying right before and right after the mention of you that would be included with maybe the second poem thing, because that's the whole premise of the leakage of this audio mashup that was, edited to exclude content for other reasons, obviously to protect other individuals, but
yeah, but I think there's more. I think it was edited to try to push this poem thing for a reason that it is not. I think that the audio was edited to make it appear to sound like there was another poem when there wasn't. I can show you 5 million places where Forrest Fenn said, just read the poem. So all he had to do was just read the poem and insert the word me in the middle of there. And you got, just read me the poem. Any moron could do that. And you put that out there. Now, they may have done it on purpose to try to see if somebody's going to leak information. Or Forrest Fenn could have did exactly like it. Why else did Dal say that? Forrest Fenn might be testing me to see if I'm going to leak anything about the poem. Well, maybe they're testing somebody else right now, and that's why they released it to Cynthia. Maybe they were testing Cynthia, but Cynthia this time wasn't stupid, and she looked at it and said, fuck, I'm not putting this out there with those names in there. So she took them out. Because if she would have left the names in there, what would have happened is she would have got a cease and desist. She probably would have got sued by every name. in there, and rightfully so, because she doesn't have a release, and Dow would have got sued. And now
I got
you
a
know,
question for you.
don't you think that's why the family sent the cease and desist? Because the whole thing is true with the autobiography. That Dow had to redact stuff, and you can see it in the PDF files. He had to redact it because he doesn't have a fucking release to give out the private information. So if he's going to do that in the PDF, and the family just said no, they gave him a cease and desist, and they told me you can't show that information. So now they're doing the same thing with the audio file. So it's likely that the family's going to come out with a cease and desist. Well, unfortunately for them, they can't make me cease and desist because they got my name in there without my release. So that video will stay. But if she ever released, or what she did release, they could make them take that down. Absolutely, because that was all private conversation. So I wouldn't be surprised if the family doesn't give them a cease and desist. I wouldn't be surprised. But if they want to try to with me, I'm not taking it down because it's got my name in there. It'll stay there forever.
You got that like Chat GDP thing, don't you?
Oh, that's a joke. Oh no,
So
no, the AI. No, I didn't install it because you got to sign an agreement.
I wonder who's got it, because I'm curious if somebody's gonna go in there and take Forrest Fenn's poem and put it in Chat GDP.
They already did that,
and then ask it to summarize one more stanza and see what it would come up with. One more stanza.
They're already doing that. I think there's people on Discord and there's other groups doing that. I think they're going to find shit. There's other AI. There's nothing. All ChatGPT does. I mean, you notice, right? It's built on a database of shit that it got off the internet, and all it does.
I look at it as word regurgitation in a sense.
That's all it does.
Far what I got.
It does a lexical analysis of the poem, and then it goes out and tries to find relevant information. It's similar to what Google does every day. So essentially, think of ChatGPT of an automated version of Google. That's all it is. You and I were fucking with something similar, but it was based on the ChatGPT engine. And remember, I was saying, remember I did that? I said, what if Kiwi the solver? And it came up with something, right? And then I said, what did Bill Gorman? And then it came up with something different. But then it started repeating itself. It went back and it said street and you were similar. So no, ChatGPT is garbage.
Patterns. You could start to make out patterns if something's displayed long enough.
Yeah, that's all it's doing. It's not AI like it's going to discover something that's not already out on the internet.
Right.
People are they think this is marvelous. They got to stop listening to Elon Musk. I mean, don't get me wrong, AI is really smart, but there's so many, all it's doing, even the images, it's basically stealing copyrighted content. And there's a big hoo-ha about that because all these artists are getting pissed off because you could say, draw me something similar to Rembrandt, right? Yep. And it's using Rembrandt paintings. You don't have the rights to all that shit. And so what the United States Patent Service just recently said is they made it impossible to copyright anything created with AI, including music, art, poetry, stories.
Say that again. Say that again.
They made it impossible at the U.S. Patent Office. Go look it up, to patent anything that was made with AI.
Oh, really?
Anything, stories, books, fucking paintings, music. It can't be copyrighted. Which means
that's interesting.
No, you could release a book with it. It's free. Anybody could use it. You could write a book with AI, but you could title your book Kiwis Road and come out with 100% a chat GP. And guess what? I can copy your book verbatim and release that book with a different title, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I got to write it myself. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's a big ball of crap, man. But yeah, no, I think you're wasting time with that with ChatGPT. It's a fun thing to play. Well, we did it already when we were live.
Well, I mean, I look at it. I don't look at ChatGPT for ChatGPT. I look at AI in the bigger scope of the digital era, the digital universe, the exploration and destination of the humans in a perspective.
Hey, here's a good thing to try with ChatGPT if you want a good laugh. Go into ChatGPT or anything that's built on the same engine. Go in there and
you had it.
No, let's say your name is, I don't know, Bill Gorman. Go into ChatGPT and say, where is the exact location that Bill Gorman is looking for a treasure chest? And watch what it comes. It ain't going to come back with anything that makes sense because it's not AI. It's.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Go do it. Seriously. Ask it. Say where did I, ask it something, unless you're asking it something really generic, like create me a fucking diagram to build a shed. Of course it can do that. But go out in there and ask it to build something that it never seen before on the internet, and it'll be, it comes up with goofy shit. Like build me an alien, an alien created shed. It'll probably do that. It'll come out with some kind of, it'll go up and look for it. Yeah, it'll look for alien skin type things and anything tagged with alien in it, it'll come up with a shed. People are like, wow, look at that. Oh, some guy did the API, asked the API, what is the very last selfie going to be when the world's destroyed?
Oh, yeah, right?
I'm serious. Somebody
that was
did
morbid.
It. That's cool.
It was morbid.
Yeah.
It's
but
like,
how do you think?
well,
how do you think? How do you think it came to that conclusion? Simple. It just looked at the current headlines. Everybody's talking about potential nuclear war and cataclysm and what do they call it? Revelation, the Book of Revelations. That's all it did, and it went out and came up with a picture that matched that description.
That's crazy. And you can't copyright that neither because it's generated by AI.
Yeah, but you know how they get around that, Kiwi? What you do is it makes an AI like a spaceship, an alien spaceship. All you got to do is go in there and change the colors, tweak a couple things. Now, yeah, you got to edit it, then you can patent it. It says clearly, it says if you modify it by a human modifies it, then it's patentable. But they don't mean go in there and just do save as and put your name on it. You got to make a change to it that's visually or substantially different.
Shucks.
It's a good thing they did that though, because can you imagine how rampant things would be if people will be generating story after story after story and just coming out with thousands of books, copywriting them all, and it would be a fucking big mess.
Well, here's another point of it too, though, is like on like some program I was watching, it talks about how it would make up its own references to make it seem legit. And those references aren't even real because the AI generated these references. And it's like, wow, so how do you believe or try to learn to believe something that just takes a bunch of stuff and tries to manipulate words to make it sound good in a sense? You know what I mean?
One really good use for it that I've seen on the internet is probably the best use I've seen. Let's say you run a blog and you have internet, you have a YouTube channel, and you like to do stories about various historical topics, right? Use it to do your research of something. Let's say you I don't know, aliens. Just go into ChatGPT and fuck around and tell it, write me a story about aliens, right? So it writes a story, and then you say, summarize that story about aliens. So it'll summarize it. You could then take that verbatim and go on your show. Now you got content to sit there and talk about it, and you get ad revenue and sell merch. That's what people are using it for. You could do that all day long. They can't do anything about it. But if you didn't modify it, I can go and steal the content from your YouTube channel and re-record it because you didn't write the text. That's the only thing. You just can't copyright it. But still, think about that. You could sit here for forever coming up with content. Tell me about the pyramids. Summarize the pyramids. And you can even get specific. What do you want to know about the pyramids? And then ask it. And it's generating content for you. That's cool. So, yeah, you could do that with the chase. Tell me about something about the people that searched in the chase and let it create a summary overall, a picture of the chase. And people have probably already done that. That's all. Do you ever see all the new channels popping up from Brazil and the people obviously like it, and they're putting out summary? Where do you think they got that from?
I just made this while y'all were chatting away.
What is it? It's like a cloud or a kite.
It's a kite with a little quadruplet going with Forrest. Post it on my YouTube channel if y'all want to read it, since it's blurry to the camera.
By the way, I just want to say, because he's here, apparently, Lucky Digger. I double checked, triple checked again. I don't see you on anybody's channel, which means you have me blocked. That's why you can't see me. It's got to be you having me blocked. There's no other explanation. I don't have you blocked. I had no reason to block you. I think you're, and you don't have no reason to really block me, but that's why you don't see me, because you have me blocked. Zosa was talking about it the other day, and I'm like, no, I checked, and I don't have her blocked, because I thought maybe Paul or somebody accidentally blocked her.
Right.
But he didn't. I looked through, there's like 400 people I got blocked, and I looked through and searched. Well, most of them are like,
I'm glad Street
all
had
the
his
porn sites.
party.
No, but they were, the porn sites that show up and all that other crap.
God, I hope that don't come this way.
Yeah, that's the majority.
Then I'll have to get a moderator so they can sit there and pull that stuff out.
Yeah, and then you got some people like Freddie. Freddie's got like 5 or 6 aliases. When you block one, he'll create another one 5 minutes later. That's why it's large. I really probably only have, like, other than the bots and the sex sites, probably only about 5 people, 10 people blocked.
Well, I try to make it, I try to keep it cordial, like a cordial marketplace, in this universe, you know what I mean? And, yeah, I have to give props to Big Rob there, being cordial. Because, it's all about trying to, be positive and share good, long stories or whatever. So I appreciate it, you know what I mean? Especially from people in chat, trying to keep it cordial in there too, because I'd hate to sit there and be blocking people, you know what I mean? Just because they want to talk bad about somebody else. It's like, well, like you guys point out, they have their own channels. Obviously, they have a YouTube channel. They can go and talk bad about other people on their channels, or air their grievances. But then again, who doesn't mind a little bit of drama now and then? Coffee gets spilt on every train now and then, right? Take a turn too hard or something. You kind of bite into some of that drama, the drama sandwich. But I mean, like, for instance, biting into the drama sandwich of somebody trying to, file a criminal complaint on a veteran, well, it just still burns my bubble. It's like, why? The chase is over, like somebody pointed out. The chase, as far as finding a chest of gold that was sold, yeah, that's over. But there's still more to the chase of life, the chase of Forrest Fenn, of learning who he was and what he was about. And there's different ways about going about it, and you can do it positively, or you can sit there and try to do it negatively, as some YouTubers are trying to do, and it's just like that.
By the way, Kiwi, everybody, yeah. I'm gonna go, but I just want to say thanks for going live afterwards, because I was having a storm.
Oh yeah, no worries. I mean, hopefully it worked out.
Yeah, I just got to go eat and stuff. The wife is home now, and then I'll see you later, I guess, in streets. I'm assuming he's going to go live, and I think Greg is going live tomorrow. I don't know that for sure. I haven't talked to him. I've been busy.
I don't know that either. He goes live or says he's going live, and it's like I'm always waiting for him to go live, and then when he goes live, I'm like too busy doing something. It's like, all right.
Yeah, he tried to call me. He tried to call me, but I was in the middle of something. Then he tried to call me, and I was in the middle of something. But then, because I was on the phone with K-Pro really late at night, the next day was like all fucked up. I slept almost during the day, and he tried to call me that. So I mean, it's the phone chase thing. I'm not like ghosting him. I'm not ignoring him. But anyway, I'll catch you later. Peace.
All right. You enjoy the rest of your day. Well, people, I guess it's just me, unless there's anybody else that wants to hop on this crazy train of discussion. I appreciate Troy coming in. Mr. Why Must I Go, sitting there and feeding us some of that background information on his acquaintance with Forrest Fenn, even though he really didn't have much of an acquaintance with Forrest Fenn, though he had an acquaintance with Forrest Fenn. And it's interesting, the recordings that are out there, you know what I mean? And it makes you wonder. Makes you wonder. What are you doing with the rest of your day, sir?
Nothing much really, just chilling. I got today off from work, and I work tomorrow from like I guess 4:30 to 11 o'clock at night. So yeah,
Oh, so you're
just
going to work
chilling.
at 4:30.
Tomorrow, not today.
So you're working the night shift,
I
or
work night shift. Yeah,
okay? How you liking your new job exploration?
dude, I freaking love it.
Yeah, is it
It's very
keeping you
chill and laid
busy?
back. Yes, it keeps me busy. People will text me like, "Leave me the fuck alone." Because I'm not supposed to have my phone on the job, you know. I mean, I still keep it on me, but I won't pull it out or anything. So
Right?
I'm kind of scared if my phone goes off because there's one manager who doesn't give a fuck about me having my phone, but there's one that does and is a stickler for it. So I'm just hoping and praying you don't hear it when it goes off, and or else I'm like, fuck.
Well,
So
I
yeah,
mean, you can worry about hoping and praying, or you can just leave it there in the locker or in your car, and then you don't have to hope
well,
or worry about a thing. Life will
well,
still
no, for sure.
continue. You'll get those messages, but when you get back to your car, you know what I mean?
No, yeah, for sure. But yeah, for the locker, you have to bring your own lock, and I don't have a lock at all. So
You'll have a lock for what?
you have to bring your own personal lock if you're gonna put it in the locker, so it stays locked up.
Okay,
They
what
don't.
about your vehicle?
Oh, my vehicle. I can put it in my vehicle, but obviously, if my mother needs to get in touch with me, obviously she won't be able to. So
So who is there somebody in your life that you would have to have your phone on you during work that might have an emergency to reach out to you?
what do you mean?
Well, just what I said. All right, so like
Okay.
I got this neighbor down the street. He's like 70 something, and his mom's like 95, 98 or something like that. And still kicking it. He carries a phone around almost specifically just in case there's an emergency with his mom.
No, yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah,
And so is there somebody in your life or a friend or something that you would have to have your phone on you during work and have
I
to
just keep it on me in case I just keep it on me in case there's a family emergency, you know. But other than that, I don't really need it.
Okay. Good answer. I like it. Well, what is it you do it again?
I'm a shelf stocker. I stock the shelves for like for the island.
Oh, you're getting some exercise, are you?
Yeah, it's fun.
Nice.
I worked some overtime last night because my manager Alex needed help, someone to stay, over past my shift to help him put up like the last 2 or 3 U-boats worth of stuff. And we did that and we left after that. So yeah, pretty fun.
Nice.
And it's a lot easier when it's like, when everyone's out of the store and you can just spread all the boxes all over the aisles and shit. When you have to put
Yeah.
them on you put them in cards, it's like, what the fuck? Takes a lot more
Yeah.
time. It's a lot more time consuming when you have to do it the right way when it's people walking through the aisles.
Yeah. Just slide the boxes down. Just tell them to get out of the way. Box coming down.
Yeah.
Hey. But yeah, I mean, truck driving, that was one of the things was one of the drivers that was training me was saying how you want to do your driving at night because there's less traffic.
Oh, 100%.
So it's like, yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, that was a long ago time. Long time ago in a galaxy far away. Truck driving was the thing I did almost every day. I don't know, something like that. All right, my friend. Well, I've been slacking off too long, like an hour or something like that. Oh, we got 2 hours? 2 hours. I gotta get back to work. I got some dirt I gotta move. That way the wife doesn't have to worry about moving the dirt. A few other things I gotta do. So yeah. That's what I was
What
saying.
time is
What would
street
you
going
what the rest of your
live?
day?
Is street
What's
going live
that?
at 8? Is street going live at
Um,
8?
I don't know. That's a very good question. And one way to find out is, subscribe to his channel, which I know you already are. And
Oh,
then
yeah,
you'll know when it goes live. I'll know when everybody else knows. I can tell you that much.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna close it down, people. I appreciate y'all stopping by. Luke, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it.
No
I hope
problem,
you all
brother.
enjoy the. Go ahead.
No, I just
What
said
are you
no
about to
problem.
say?
I just said no problem, brother. That's all. It was just,
But for the rest of you in chat or in the YouTube world, sorry I didn't get too much conversating with y'all in there. I do appreciate you guys hanging out and listening to some Fen stuff. Listening to I was hoping somehow I would have had that audio or video. I forgot to ask Troy to play the video where Forrest Fent's talking about him by his name. Then it would have made more sense, with the title and whatnot. But that's what happens when you're on a train of digression. You forget things, and you forget a lot of things. I appreciate everybody in the chat keeping it calm, cool, collective. Much appreciated, and we hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. And with that, y'all keep calm and treasure on. And until next time, I guess we'll see you on Talking Tuesdays, maybe later on this evening with some other YouTubers. So peace out, everybody. Closing out music. Okay. End meeting for all. Yeah, we'll leave the meeting. All right. End meeting.